the nursing. Hold on, let me get the exact
name of the
care and nurse, whatever. Hold on, sorry, I'm trying to get the name here. Come on, internet, work for me. CNA. Somebody in the chat might know it.
Why don't you just Google it? What is it? CNA?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. CNA.
I've lost control.
There's a lot of different CNAs, but this one in particular is for nurses. And it's the... Oh gosh, why is this so difficult to find?
Let's see if I can find it faster with my...
I had it before the show.
Wild VR hand that I cannot control.
Certified nursing assistants. Thank you, Enoch. A bunch of people in the chat.
Okay.
Certified nursing assistant. There you go. So yeah, this is meant to convince certified nursing assistants to get the jab.
Okay. Or it's to get them the jab,
yes.
Or for them to get other people to get the jab?
No, to get them to get the jab, because this next one here has my choice is my business and no one has a right to know. And then it's got the, would you be interested in a more private way to get your vaccine? Would you like to know more about the vaccine and how to set up an appointment? I'm happy to share what I know. And then in closing, lots of CNAs have chosen to get the vaccine.
Oh.
It was the right choice for them. If you're interested, there are ways you can privately access the vaccine.
So this is a document to convince nursing assistants to get the vaccine.
Yes.
Yeah, because we have seen this, that a lot of medical workers do not want the vaccine. And what a condescending document. You're a certified nursing assistant. You probably have looked at the studies. You probably have looked at the science, and you have decided you don't want these things. And now you have this condescending document calling into question the expertise that you have studied for years to obtain to, become some kind of medical professional. And they make this just completely lame series of basically non-answers, impotent questions, and sort of shriveled closers to try to get you to take it. This is insulting. Wow. I'm sorry, CNAs out there that you would look down upon
subject to something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a question. I've already had COVID-19, and so I'm already immune. And then the response, have you seen the new studies showing that immunity from having COVID-19 only lasts for months?
That is not true. That is a complete lie.
I know.
The current science shows that basically so far, with the time that we've had, so far you're most likely to be entirely immune now a year and a half later.
And get this.
That is just a complete anti-science lie.
And the closing, what you can say in closing, or what's suggested here, I'm sorry to hear that. Other CNAs who have had COVID-19 decided to get the vaccine to protect themselves from that happening again. I'm getting vaccinated for COVID-19 because I can also protect people with weak immune systems. But I thought based on the science, even if you got the vaccine, you can still spread it.
You can still spread it, and you can still catch it.
So
the only thing, they had to switch over because the science showed that you could still spread it and you could still catch it. But so they had to go to, but if you catch it, then you have less symptoms. It just makes it a little bit more tolerable. This is incredible.
Go to the very last one, because I think it's the funniest. Well, not the funniest, but it's a good one. We'll finish with
Gons, if you love vaccines so much, I'm not getting the vaccine unless they make me.
I hear you. I don't like being told what to do by anyone.
Oh my gosh.
And then in response, I'll continue the conversation. I don't know if the vaccine will be mandated, but I got it so my friends, coworkers, and residents can feel safe around me. Seems like a common sense way to keep everyone safe and get us back to normal. Vaccination is a collective action to prevent the spread of disease. And then you might close by saying, because there's 3 different columns.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. There's They just left it blank. They're like,
there's no closer there.
At this point, they're like, well, if you can't convince them by now, you're not going to convince them.
Give up and call the police. Get the FEMA squad out there to scoop them up.
It's not going to work. Anyway, I found this and I read through it and I was like, wow, this is some. The more I read the documents that are supposed to convince people, the more I'm like not convinced this is a good idea.
Yeah.
They're not changing any minds with this thing for sure.
They really aren't. It is really just a sad attempt. And it's obviously created by somebody who has no idea what they're doing. As far as like I mean, there's books and experts and academics who are truly trained in the art of convincing people of things. Persuasion, right. And it's like this whoever created this read an article about the art of persuasion and then tried to write this helpful guide.
It but it makes me think that this person, whoever wrote it, was like they had a conversation with like a hesitant CNA, and they were being pummeled, like they weren't able to convince them. And like they're like just everything was falling apart in that conversation, and they got really angry and put together this document to like
totally. They rage. They rage documented. They rage excelled. Yeah, I mean, one thing, it's obvious that they didn't have anybody who is actually hesitant involved in this because the questions are horrible.
Yeah, they're horrible.
And the answers are horrible. And there's no actual science because you go through it, there is no science. There's no giving facts. There's no referencing actual articles.
There's a couple hyperlinks, but they're
is there?
Not
okay,
much.
Not in the ones we read. Yeah. There's no actual, and as we know from the study, the MIT study where they infiltrated anti-mask communities, they said, these anti-mask communities, they actually appreciate the science more than their ideology. Not only do they appreciate the science, but they are more sophisticated in understanding the science than their ideological adversaries. This MIT study admitted that anti-vaxxers are more familiar and more sophisticated, their word, at understanding the science than people who are not anti-maskers. And this document makes no reference not only to any of the actual science, and they condescendingly just go, well, did you read any good studies about this? But sort of actively avoid I guess they don't avoid encouraging people to read studies, but they just avoid the topic of discussing the science. And that's what anti-vaxxers or vaccine hesitancers or anti-maskers are focused on, is the actual facts and science. And there's no attempt to make a factual or scientific argument because they know they can't do it because the science is not on their side.
There's two hyperlinks in the document. One goes to futurity.org, the news outlet, with the headline, "Is it safe to get the COVID-19 vaccine during pregnancy?" back in February 11th. And the other link goes to a CDC study. So
yeah,
that's their,
there you go.
Seems really
two links in, what is it? 5 pages of questions and answers. There's 2 links.
2 links. And yeah, it seems like a very impotent attempt.
No link to the Salk study. Yeah. No link to the MIT studies.
No link to CCNT.
No link to Canary Cry News Talk. We're being snubbed.
Yeah, well, what do you expect? All right, we should take a break.
Speaking of being snubbed, we should take a quick break.
What? I don't understand that. What's the snubbed part?
Oh, it's just for comedy. Don't worry about it. Let's go. Let's thank some producers.
Take a break.
You planning to snub our producers or?
No, it's like maybe we got snubbed, but we didn't. We actually we got some great producers to thank today, and we're going to thank them right now. If you're new to the show, just sit back, relax, let it happen, because some great content happens during the break here. But also stick around, because after the break, we're going to get into some politics. We got an Agenda 2030 update that's going to it's going to affect anybody who lives in or around a house. So stick around for that. Also, a little update on Trump, the Israeli government shift that's going on. That is a wonderful follow-up to what we've been tracking over there. We've also got an update on the military. The military has been going through some crazy changes as well. And we'll look into what they got going on with horoscopes over at the military. And of course, an update on Jeff Bezos, etc., etc. But before that, we're going to thank some producers. That's right. I said producers because we are on the value for value model. Now, if you're not familiar with the value for value model, it's very simple. All it is we create value. We just make this show 3 times a week, and we try our very hardest at it, and that's worth something. And if you get any value out of what we do, whether you learn something new, whether we kept you company while you clean the house, or maybe turned you on to a new piece of, maybe a new outlet that you want to take a look at, or maybe you discovered a new way to read the mainstream to uncover maybe the secret meanings that they're trying to talk about. Whatever it is, if you gain value from what we do here, you have the opportunity to put some value back in. And indeed, that is the only way the show keeps going. So it's truly, if you want another show, become a producer, because it's the only way we're able to continue doing what we do, especially at the rate at which we do it. And there's plenty of ways to become a producer, but you may notice we have no advertising. We have no affiliate codes. We're not trying to sell you any vitamin supplements. No, none of that. And if you're new, you may be like, why am I even listening to this guy? Just tell me some ads. I'm good at tuning out of ads. I have complete control over my subconscious, and no $1 million advertising campaign can break into this steel vault. Unfortunately, I've got bad news for you. Even taking in ads subconsciously is changing your worldview and influencing your buying behavior. There's plenty of studies on that, and it's just a form of willing mind control. We beg for mind control so we don't have to think about funding a piece of media that we appreciate and value. And, on one hand, we don't want to be connected to the advertising industry. We don't want to take any corporate money for a few reasons. One of them is when you take corporate money, it's almost 100% chance you're taking dirty money or Chinese investment money or something like that. And there's spiritual ramifications to that we just don't want to deal with. But also, it's sort of a rebellion against the prevailing worldview creation system. If you're someone who is, doesn't want to join the New World Order, you are against sort of needless globalism, you're against corporate control over our private lives, all these sorts of things. We hold these ideas of what we value, but then a lot of times our actions speak are singing a different tune. The very action of consenting to advertisement is sort of bending the knee to this system that you are the product. In the advertising industry, Gons and I would be the business owners, and our clients would be advertisers, and you are the product. If we can keep you around long enough, if we can keep you coming back, if we can get you to trust us, and then our advertising will be more effective, and you're more valuable to our client, the advertisers. And that's just not how we want to think about you guys. This is not how we want to roll. We don't want to participate in that kind of sick commoditization of your attention. and your trust. And so we're on the value for value model, which admittedly is not as profitable as doing advertising, but at least we can sleep at night and we feel good about the way we treat our listeners. And many listeners become producers by supporting the show and joining us in our mission to break away from that system. And so we want to thank some producers right now. Like I said, there's a